And here we are, everyone. Uh, for timekeeping purposes, it's now about 55 days since the start of the second year. Since Elaney first sparked, it has now been a grand total of 5 weeks. It's been a week since the night that you first found Elaney here in this grove. And it is currently right before sunrise. And you can see that the moon is a quarter. Half in shadow and half in light. Sort of representing a bit of uncertainty. And I would like to start this session off with a conversation, actually.
Okay.
I know your plan to get Elaney to the Biblioplex. I know the snarl, and I even know some of your thoughts on how that will go. And we know most of the people that are going to be there. How are you all going to deal with the Tuvasa?
Looks at Motiva.
Motiva was going to use her best asset. She was going to talk. Also, do you want us to join the Foundry?
We don't need the Foundry today.
Delightful.
Yes.
Motiva was going to use her best option, and she was going to try to talk.
Okay. So you're going to go up to the Great Shaper, and you're going to attempt to come to an understanding and reason with her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With that, then, we can move to what are you guys doing? It is currently right before sunrise, the morning of a very, very busy day. What do your characters do as your sort of last thing before you start this chain of events? Because once you start it, it will have to be instantaneous every position. Because it will be getting Elaney out of the water, it will be freezing them, it will be getting them to Strixhaven. It will already have been telling Onyx to handle Hoshmal. And then it will be immediately getting them to the Snarl and casting the spell. This whole entire session will be bullet time. And once you start, you will not be able to stop it. So, if you guys want to think about what you would like to do, I would love to know what kind of moment you take either for yourself or in connection with other people. I would love to know how Motiva in particular, or even Ashan as well, because you both can walk, how you telegraph that you're ready to go to people like Dariga, to Onyx, to Nim and Kai.
I feel like maybe one of us should go ahead, and then as soon and like give people the heads up of like, okay, they're about to show up, and then whenever we actually enter, like plane shift back to Strix, we shoot a text to that person to tell Onyx to immediately go do Hoshmal.
That's a good idea. That's a good one.
My idea was to send over people who can't planeswalk. So just Nefei and Fullin so that they could split up and get started on that. 2 bodies and all that.
Oh, okay.
That is a very smart idea. I am telling you right now, Philin is not going away from Elaney.
Don't worry, we can have that conversation.
Yeah, I think that's a very fun conversation. I think it'll be very interesting to see you try to convince Nefei as well, especially because like whoever is left will have to be the people who deal with the Tuvasa and also deal with actually getting Eleni able to be plane shifted. Okay, that's really fun. That's really slay. Oh, before we start those, something that I actually think is very fun, and we can either act this out or I can talk about it. Renata and Verana. There has always been a restlessness amongst your group during your time in Ixalan. They have never seen you all in not a state of some sort of stress, right? Once you start getting your minds hooked on this idea, it is not hard for them to pick up on something that there is an undercurrent. To that effect, they probably actually left last night to go back to the settlement that they are from to mention that their talks are successful. And Renata somewhat hesitantly bids you all farewell and says that you can seek her out at Fort Lior. Or, if she is not on the Ixalan continent when you next come back for her, then she would be in Alta Torres zone.
Okay.
How do you spell those?
Yeah, there's Fort Lior. This could have a different spelling. I might have to retcon that later, but Fort Lior is where she's stationed right now. That's who she was speaking for. And Alta Torreson is the home of the Dusk Legion. It's where she is from. It's actually across the ocean. It's like on a different continent.
Ooh, Jesus.
Yeah. But if she isn't in Fort Lior, she would be home. Yeah, that's basically what she's saying.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Go ahead.
Motiva would give a hearty goodbye.
Flynn would wish them luck on their travels.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think that they accept it. Again, kind of wary of the sensing the oncoming storm, as it were. Renata in particular, kind of quick to want to leave. But they accept it, and they don't seem reticent to continue talking to you as they bid their goodbyes and leave.
Okay. I imagine the conversation about like how things are gonna go down. I'm gonna be honest. I think Motiva would bring it up, and I think she would outright like tell Falin and Nefei, I think that you two should go ahead first, and I have a reason. Reading the scroll to go between planes takes time. If this conversation goes bad, we will not have time to read a scroll.
Nefei's
You
gonna
two
actually
are going.
speak up.
Okay.
She's gonna kind of look at you, and she looks like she is kind of willing to hear you out until you actually start talking, and she immediately almost goes to scoff, and say, "Oh, how I word this? If it was just to get things ready or to get me out of the way, I'd expect that sort of honesty better than whatever this is. Arrogance?
You think I'm lying?
No. I'm saying your big plan is to throw out the rest of the plan, stabilizing Elaney using will to do it, to just yank her across space yourself. If you don't have time to use a scroll, you can't take those two. And kind of gestures to the twins.
They just have to follow me. I just have to grab Elaney.
They can't walk.
I
And she kind of like mutters that like really aggressively under her breath at you.
that even with that aside, last time you tried planeswalking with more than one person, it did not go as planned.
It's almost as if you two couldn't planeswalk and I was panicking.
That was not me trying to dig on you. You don't have to get defensive. I am stating I am worried.
I have planes. Go ahead.
Someone is going to have to read a scroll regardless just to get Elaney.
No. I have planeswalked back and forth with Ashan before between planes, and it's never gone wrong.
Was Ashan not walking himself?
No. You can simply walk after someone.
And Elaney is unconscious, ergo unable to walk you.
No, I can carry them. That's what the twins are for. It is better that it is that Elaney follows me into my blind eternities than Ashan, because Ashan's blind eternities is a drop fall. I just have a walk.
Do you know what Elaney's is?
Probably the ocean. They wouldn't be going through their blind eternities. They would be going through mine.
Okay, I am having trouble understanding, because to my knowledge, even outside of the panic of what happened last time when Elaney sparked, you just cannot bring another person with you.
I'm gonna hop in just to make sure, because if Motif is gonna keep saying this, I want to make sure that it's like you intentionally misleading Philin. That is true. Kaya is the only planeswalker that can take people over through her blind eternity. Before
but I thought
Jace
took.
Yes, that was one time.
But
when you follow.
But there's also. Start. Go ahead.
When you follow somebody through somebody's trail, which is the one thing that you know about right now is Motiva, the walker has to actively follow your trail. It is them walking after you, and they come out at the same side as you.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought that Motiva could take Ashan.
No, you guys have never done that before.
Okay. That's my fault then. Haha.
I know we've talked about how you really want to, but like until recently, I didn't even know you could see each other's blind eternities, so that's never happened in canon.
I don't know where to start then, because this was my entire argument for this was founded on that.
I'm sorry. It's a really difficult thing to take somebody over across a planeswalk. It's why Kaya, and it's why it's really surprising that Jace did that in the recent Magic the Gathering story, and for a long time only Kaya was able to bring organic people through planeswalking. It's like rare that she can do that.
Well, record scratch. Hey, can I take that back?
Yeah, we can
It's
walk
the
that back.
rewind
I'm
button.
really sorry.
Sorry, I sounded like a fucking idiot.
No, you didn't sound like an
No, it's
idiot.
okay. I as Sarah, because I knew that like in Strikes the characters have been informed of like, oh yeah, no, you like can't walk with other people. I
Yeah.
as Sarah was thinking, oh, Motiva has cracked the fucking code. Motiva knows
Uh,
secrets.
It's because me and
Motiva
Ash. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Me and Ash just know a lot about the meta of Magic that you guys as players don't know yet. So it's really easy to get wires crossed.
Yeah, I'm looking at the notes that we have for Motiva's planeswalking. She can planeswalk with organic material if it's plants
Yes.
or animals.
And then
She
Ashan
can
can take
planeswalk with
rocks.
animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ashan can
Wow.
take rocks.
Everybody's gonna have
Can
a little
we-
quirk with their thing. Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna make a joke about can we planeswalker lawyer loophole that water.
You can try. So here's the thing, right? Whenever Motiva yanked Falin and Eleni, that was a thing that happened, right? That's a thing you can do. It's just hard and it's variable. The biggest issue is I didn't want you to say that you and Ashan had done it successfully, because that's not true.
Okay. I meant specifically that Ashan has followed Motiva's trail at least.
Yes,
he
that
has
is true.
done that.
So if you so I think sorry, I'm gonna corkboard. Do you remember this thing that Rowan said last time we were talking, where Rowan said, worst case scenario, we could maybe hope that if we put Eleni near the Snarl, aka a lot of magic, maybe they can like instinct survival grab it. If you want to say that Motiva's plan is hoping Eleni will react when you yank them over, then you can also say that. It's like there's different elements we can mess around with, because the whole point of Strixhaven is breaking what is the boundary and like physics and what we know you can and can't do. We would just have to find what angle you're willing to do.
Okay. Okay. Motiva is still gonna fucking fight with Neve though, and she's gonna say, okay, well somebody needs to go there first. Somebody needs to go to Strixhaven.
That's
and
fine.
if you guys don't want it to be you two, then it needs to be someone, and it can't be me, because I don't know if anybody else can convince the Tuvasa.
No, I'll go. I can get things ready. I can sit and wait. Clear the area. Get Onyx. I don't mind that. I just thought your idea sounded dumb. And I didn't like the idea, but I'll go to get things ready. That's not a problem.
Do you want to send Ashan?
I can go back with the scroll that we brought the first time. You guys can have the ones that take you straight to the Biblioplex, and I'll take the old one. And I'll go. I don't want Ashan with me. I am all for hospitality, and I think these people are lovely. I think we sound insane, and we are talking about things that they only tangentially know about. If you have to defend yourself and buy time to read the scroll for Eleni, I would rather you have more bodies here. But I know I'll just slow you down. So I'll go back. Okay?
It's not a matter of slowing down, and I don't expect you to believe me when I say this, but this is not me trying to get you guys out of the way because you can't planeswalk. This is me trying to be as quick as possible so nobody has to get hurt. Because I believe that these are good people. And that's the problem.
That is the problem. I believe you.
I promise I don't like this. I don't like any of this, but there's no easy option, so. If you're willing, even if you don't do it, somebody probably will tell someone. Nim and Adankai also want to be there to keep people away, to make sure nobody gets hurt. I will try to time things as much as possible so that you'll be there. I can promise you that.
You see, she goes to kind of nod, and she kind of has her hands on her hips, and she looks tired. But she just nods and says, "I'll round everybody up so we won't have any chance of them missing it. I'm all for innovation and new ideas, but sometimes it's better to take the safe option, the consistent one." And she's actually going to tap on your knee, Falin. Can I see your phone?
Yes, I was actually about to offer it to you. I was thinking we could have one of the twins text my phone while you have it.
Great minds think alike.
Nefay, after this, I promise I'll get you a phone too.
Oh, don't worry. I might have enough time waiting that I can figure out how this one ticks. Take it apart and put it back together, no problem.
If you can find a cheaper and easier way to do it, I would love to hear.
She goes to give you a wink and say, "All right. Good luck."
Good luck.
Good luck.
Nefay's gonna walk away, and now the both of you are left kind of in the silence of her wake. Now you guys have to talk about that plan.
Oh.
Right. So I think I can gather what we'll do if the talk with the Tuvasa goes well. If it goes poorly,
And we don't go beating stereotypes about planeswalkers, which I'm not excited about. It's not impossible though. Nothing's impossible. I just have to hope.
I have faith in you.
Motiva is going to turn around and she's going to approach the Shaper.
Oh, okay.
She's going to ask Flynn to come with.
Yeah, Falin is following. She's like a few steps behind to give them space for talking, but she is right here.
Slay. Have you told your companions that are here, which is now Ashan and the twins, that you're starting this now?
I imagine so.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. How do I word this?
You can say they hate the idea. It's okay.
It's not. No, I'm sorry. Nefay is very outspoken. Sorry, she called me Kiva dumb heart emoji.
She earns it. She needs it a little bit.
I don't think that there's. I don't think anybody says it necessarily, right? But if you tell them and then go as if you were talking one-on-one to the Shaper, their assumption is that everybody will be there as they're kind of ringed behind you. Which I think is very interesting. I think that you as a group are very tight knit and very kind of quick to protect each other. If you did want it to be like a situation of like you are personally appealing to Tuvasa by yourself and mostly alone, you would have to tell them to back off.
I do think Motiva would, whenever Motiva approaches Tuvasa and she has this gaggle behind her, she smiles and she says, "I'm very sorry. My companions are far too interested in eavesdropping, thinking they know what to say, and believing that they can fight a shark that's 2,000 pounds. But I just want to talk. And I believe that we can have a conversation. Whether or not they leave," and she looks over and says, "is up to them. I don't try to force my companions to do things."
I feel like that doesn't dissuade any of them from being here.
That's fair.
Interesting enough. I will say something that I think is very interesting is that the Great Shaper, who probably was tending Eleni at this moment, probably kind of looks to you and then kind of like looks to Philin, Ashan, Will, and Rowan, the two new people that she's only recently met, and then looks back to you and says, "Is there a conversation to be had that needs eavesdropping?" And you see she's kind
I'd
of
like
giving you a
to-
look.
I'd like to believe no. She is going to sit. Motif is going to be a brave little creature and she's going to put her legs in the water.
Slate, she is not actually over by the stones. She's over by Eleni, which is like, I want to say like what, the 20 feet away?
Yeah. Motiva is going to nod her head and say, "May we speak?"
You see she looks at you, and her expression doesn't really change, but she goes to say something to a merfolk that's next to her, one that has these sort of like bright green and yellow fins. As they go to start tending to Eleni, as the Great Shaper goes to swim up closer, kind of propping her head up out of the water, but decidedly staying in the water to speak to you.
100%.
And she says, "By all means, say what you'd like to say."
I am a creature that is bound by promises. I have made a promise to Philin to help Eleni. I have made this promise to Nefei as well. Sorry, I have to turn off my fan. It's too overstim for my brain right now.
That's fair.
Philin has told me that you have realized that the magic that has been brought to Eleni is of a divine nature.
Yes, it is something that I can feel, not just in the ways that they affect this place, but to say something not of this world is a bit tongue-in-cheek considering who I am speaking to, but I think you understand my meaning whenever it comes to them.
It is beyond my world as well. I promise, not of this world is an apt description for it. Eleni is unlike anyone else and should be treated as such at all times. There is a problem, though, with this magic that is leaking from them, this hemorrhage. It is a magic of undoing. I worry that if we bring this magic to your sacred place, this god that cursed Eleni, her magic of perfectionism will leak into a holy place. It will ooze and it will remake and it will make it to what it wishes to be. I do not think that that is something that Eleni would have wanted. I would like to take them somewhere where there is a magic font that, frankly, I am not worried about ruining. It is a void of magic. It is zero. Your home is many things all at once. Your holy places should remain untainted. She's going to extend her hand and she's going to say, Planeswalkers are bound to go back to where they sparked. No matter what happens, I swear to you that I will bring back Eleni here in 31 days' time, and I will show you them. And you will finally be able to speak. I am a creature of oaths, and it is not just the word of the law, but the spirit. I cannot break this by pretending that it is only 30 moons, but not 30 suns. I can't hide them somewhere so they don't see the sun, and I can't obscure it. I can't hide it from you. My contract is as said. I want to help Eleni. I want to help Falin. I love the people that are within my circle. And I know you care as well. Which is why it is not easy to ask this. And I know it is probably not easy to hear. It is not kind. I do believe that you're capable. I hope you know that.
Roll me a diplomacy.
No. Can I get a, you guys are, I got a nat 20. I rolled the Eldraine dice.
Yeah.
I have a little Eldraine book staring at me. Diplomacy?
Yeah.
That would be plus 13 is 33. Oh.
You go to speak, and there are a lot of people that you know that wouldn't, and not in a negative way, not give you the space to say your piece to completion. It is very common for you and people in your circle to be whether excitable, hot-headed, opinionated. And moments like this are a conversation, a negotiation even, but this is you entreating the Great Shaper because she lets you keep going until you are finished. And you see that she goes to look across her shoulder to look at Eleni still in the water. Her glow and the glow that Tuvasa has been putting into them, what lights this place. And she says, from my own understanding, your words could be true. Eleni has not been this hemorrhage, you said, a leaking of something not serving them, this unmaking. Perhaps it could touch this place or the deep root tree. It could touch this plane. I worry more that we do not have to worry about what is leaving them so much as replacing what they are losing. A place of great power and a place of great something. I truly feel a place like this is what will shore them up and help them replace whatever is unmaking them, to use your own words. It is kind and equal parts unkind that you would say to me another place as powerful as this, or our tree, you would allow to be ruined. You are all planeswalkers, and you all know perhaps more than I, and maybe have a better or different understanding of this situation, but this has worked. This is what I feel called to do, to help something, someone. At the very least, I'm glad we can agree someone who there is unlike any other. If you mean to take them from my care, I doubt there's anything any of us here can do to stop you. But know that if you fail, you will kill them, and the multiverse will be worse for it.
Motiva's going to put her hands together and she's going to say, "It is unkind to say that I would let Arcavios fall to ruin, but to be frank, for the people I love, I would burn down entire plains. If Eleni dies, you can take me instead."
Yes.
And she says this with complete confidence.
Okay.
Flynn is turning around and walking away.
Okay. Where do you go? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What the fuck? I want to hear what Flynn's fucking doing.
I think Flynn is gonna go back up those stairs to where people were staying at.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just staying there until it seems like the talks are done.
Okay. Alright, Motiva.
She could not handle being there and hearing all that. But she also does not want to jeopardize this, so she is removing herself from the equation.
That's so fair. Sometimes you gotta take care of yourself. Alright, Motiva. What were you gonna say?
She extends her hand and she says, "Would you like to make a contract?" would you like total control over this situation? I cannot make a contract that I fully wish to do. I hope you know that I want the possibility, the belief that Eleni could be here and be fine and do nothing wrong. I believe that with time they could be better. This is a desperation and an act of love.
You see that she looks at your hand and then she meets your gaze and she says, I don't presume to think that I'll have full control over this because none of us are truly in control. Your words are honeyed and skillful. My people trade and talk in intent, action, and heart. I will choose to believe that your heart is in the right place. But your words will not affect that.
Yippee. I don't have to make another contract. Yippee.
I like the small yippee because that was not a nice thing she said to you.
That's right. I don't have to do another oath pact dedication. Yippee. Yippee. It's the small victories, Panini. It's the small victories.
Small victories when the vibes are bad.
Yeah. Motiva shrugs and says, okay. In 31 days, I will bring Eleni back to Ixalan, and we will find you. And I will be delighted to... I'll be happy to know that they can be here and I can be here under a less tense situation. I'll hold myself to that. Thank you.
You see that? Tuvasa goes to look at you with your parting words and just nods as if accepting them but not offering you any closure in return, as with a complicated expression they dive below the water and you slowly see as the Great Shaper individually goes to each merfolk in this grove, and the longer you watch them you see that they are slowly making preparations to leave. But for the rest of the time in this grove, none of them talk to you.
Ah, that's fine. Motiva's going to turn around to the twins and Ashan and say, let's get ready. Will, can you grab Falin?
I'll grab her and we'll get in position. In the end, everything worked. So let's hope the rest does. And he tries to kind of give you a bit of a boyish smile to try to keep heart. You know how they kind of are.
Yeah.
And Falin, you kind of hear that sort of uneven and heavy gait that you know belongs to Will. I would love for you to walk me through maybe how you're feeling, if you're doing anything up here after you fully separated yourself from it.
I think in terms of what she's doing right now, I think she's leaned over her pack, double checking everything, now just for the sake of having something to do with her hands. Feelings wise, because Falin was not thinking that Motiva would offer up herself in exchange if this goes poorly. Felin also does not like the concept that Eleni dying is an option still, even if logically she knows it is.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't like hearing it, you know.
Yeah, doesn't like hearing it. Doesn't like it being planned for. And I feel like normally in a situation like this she would be upset, but it would lean more towards being sad. Now she is the way that she is going through her pack and like moving things and putting it back in, it is very frustrated.
Okay. I think that Will kind of goes to approach you and maybe gives like a couple seconds before he says anything. But I think his first thing that he would say to Felin is kind of just a quiet, uh, we're making ready to leave soon. Uh, do you have everything together?
Yeah. It's all here.
That's good. It would be a bit awkward to have to come back because we forgot the tent after everything, you know?
She's gonna stand up, sling the pack over her back. I think she doesn't say much. I think she mainly just looks ready to like go and get things started. But she is going to squeeze his hand and thank him. And she's gonna take a breath. Let's go freeze my partner.
You feel his hand kind of go to squeeze your hand, but then even when you go to like separate, he kind of trails his finger sort of like up your wrist and a little bit up your forearm. Almost like reticent to end that touch. As you go to walk away, and similarly, actually, Motiva, I would like to hear how you're feeling after all of that. As you're kind of standing on this rock, now mostly alone, and Ashan kind of goes to sort of bump his shoulder against yours.
Motiva kind of. She looks pretty calm, to be honest. I think that she doesn't look very disturbed or upset, even after the Shaper's words. Whenever he bumps her, she bumps back and she says, "Are you ready?"
Ready as ever. Glad that went off without a hitch, honestly.
If you don't count insulting me.
I was ready to, well, I don't have to say what I was ready to do to get them to listen.
Well, don't talk too loudly about that. But I get it.
Anything for it to work, right?
I
Sometimes
don't
you gotta
think
be
we
the
have.
bad guy.
I don't think we have to do too much of anything. I wish whenever people complain about honeyed words and sweet talking. But I don't know. I guess people forget that those words are necessary, and maybe it's not for them. Maybe it's for other people.
agree. There's a reason why, you see a lot more silver quills than you think, you know? I know you don't, we don't do a ton in the other cities on Arcavios, but despite the reputation silver quills have on campus and a little bit outside, can't really go through life without needing one.
People hate messengers so badly.
I think that he goes to kind of ruffle your hair under your turn and say, I think people are just scared how easy it is to lie when you're good at picking your words.
They don't lie.
I know, but they don't.
That's their problem. She's gonna hug him a little bit. She's gonna squeeze his shoulder, and she's gonna look around, and she's going to say, "Are you ready, champ?"
Ready as ever. This is the easy part. My job doesn't come in until we get there.
I know, but we gotta stay synced up.
Gotta stay on my toes. Don't worry. I got one job. I'm gonna try very hard not to mess it up.
I promise. Being calm whenever that was going down was a part of the job. You did great. You can check that off the list.
Hey, next time you have to talk to important dignitaries over life or death issues, tell me in advance and I can stand behind you and cross my arms menacingly again.
Don't worry, you and Ashwan were doing that just fine. Just fine. I promise. I promise. I don't need guard dogs. I promise. I promise.
Yeah, but they're nice to have.
I do like puppies. And she starts to put her backpack over her, and she waves at Will and Flynn. And she's gonna walk to Flynn and she's going to say, "What's wrong?"
We can talk about it later. There are bigger things to do right now.
Motiva's going to take Flynn's hand if she will allow it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to say, "Can I use a spell?" You don't have to say anything. We can just catch up on how you're feeling. And I can talk to you about it.
Ooh.
Through the feeling.
She kind of raises a brow.
It'll be kind of gay.
Did she say that?
Yeah, she was just kind of smile and say it would be kind of sweet. I'd like doing it. It's a good spell. You should learn it. Sometimes words are hard.
She gets a little blush on her cheeks. She says, "What I was going to say yes, if only for curiosity's sake."
She's gonna bump heads with Flynn, and I'm going to use join pasts.
I love
Oh my
that
God.
spell. It's so cool.
With touches to the target's foreheads, you bring them in a mental communion. The targets share thoughts or experiences, but not words. And there's other stuff, but I don't care about that because we're not doing a recall knowledge or aid.
Yeah, this is just for the flavor of using it, you know?
This is the flavor.
Yeah.
This is the pasta sauce, baby. And I would love to hear how Flynn emotionally connects on that.
Yeah, what do you share?
I think because Motiva proposed this as we will communicate through the feeling about what happened or what's happening. I think she's essentially going to communicate what I communicated to you, Panini.
Okay.
Whenever you were asking how she was doing, with the addition of the fact that she is trying really hard, to not think about that right now because there is other shit to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's something that has upset her or frustrated her, but ultimately that's on the back burner.
This idea that it's kind of like flashes, like almost like I would say it almost feels like when you have, this is a horrible comparison, but you know, whenever you have like a really sudden or kind of intrusive like thought or feeling, and it like flickers into you for a second before you right yourself.
Yeah.
What do you share, Motiva?
Motiva's gonna hear that and she's gonna feel it. She kind of like can't argue the feeling away, but I think Motiva would bring forth the thought or the feeling that the speaker thinks that that Eleni is going to die. She offered her life because she sees no way that Eleni will, and she believes they will succeed.
Wow, that's cool.
Flynn gets fucking flashbanged with the indomitable human spirit.
I was about to say the indomitable human spirit. You have to believe. Spirit.
I do think after that is like conveyed, all of the like feelings that Motiva would have felt from Flynn kind of get replaced with just light and like relief, with like a tinge of, you know, still unsure, but ultimately, on God, we're gonna do this.
Yeah, that's literally it. It's just the back and forth. Oh God, we got this. We got this. We got this.
It's really. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I just think it's sweet. I like this
really
film a
lot. It's really nice too because this almost feels like a hearken to like an earlier time in this arc specifically, where like in the beginning, especially whenever like Flynn was really upset and stressed out about the Eleni stuff, understandably. Like this is not irrational. You were right to be upset, right? And a lot of people, especially people like Will or people close to you, were like, sometimes you kind of just have to have faith that things will work out. And that is kind of where you guys are now at with your plan, where it's like a lot of things can happen, but we can't get. And I also think this is really interesting for Flynn to hear. There are a lot of things and variables and possibilities that could happen, but sometimes you just have to hope that it will work out. You know what I mean?
Whenever they finish up the communication and it's them just back and forth being like, yeah, Motiva's gonna head bump Flynn and she's gonna bump her head on Rowan. And she's gonna give the feeling of indomitable human spirit over to her. Nice. And she's gonna say, we need to be synced up for this. We need to communicate.
You do this to Rowan, and Rowan accepts it. Rowan also bonks you back on the head. And in my head, I imagine that you're touching foreheads the whole time the spell is happening, which makes it ultra gay to me.
Yes.
And the idea that you are sending this over to Rowan, but in a very, I think, very beautiful and very touching moment. You and Flynn reached that point where it's like, we have to be synced up on this. We have to be like confident. We have to just try. We have to just hope. We have to have faith. You say this, well, you show this to Rowan, that like, we need to communicate, we need to be synced up, we need to be together on this. We have to make it through. The feeling that you get from Rowan is almost like a warm blanket, like a flower blooming in your own mind, because while you and Flynn know this could go badly, but you have to just not worry about it, Rowan does feel confident in this plan. And what she shares to you is that there might be unforeseen consequences, or there might be things that happen that we didn't anticipate, but in her mind, there isn't a way this doesn't work. And like, she means that. It's not just her saying it.
Yeah.
She thinks that no matter what, this is a situation that will help.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about Rowan. Rowan is the indomitable human spirit.
Yeah.
boy.
Fullen
Okay.
is going to run up and hug both of them.
uh, Rowan will pick you guys up. I think Rowan has to do that thing where she like leans back a little bit because Motiva is of her height, right? But she picks up you guys at least a little bit. And you three are here together, having this moment of connection before you will have an even bigger connection in a second. I'm going to pause to take a quick bio break. When we come back, bullet time.
Bullet time.
All right, we're back. You guys have had your moments. You have secured, for lack of a better word, Eleni without a fight, as the Tuvasa now give you all a wide breadth, as you all come to stand on that one platform next to the water. Eleni about 20 feet away from you. Will kind of looks at the water and kind of looks mostly to Falin, but also would kind of like look to others and say, if you could bring them closer to me, I wouldn't be able to get in the water to get them.
Fullen will absolutely do that. Also, real quick, because I forgot to mention this, Fullen would have informed Will of the plan to text Nefay when we get there.
Okay, cool, Slay. Will knows the plan now. Well,
Yes.
well, Will's not going to be able to because Will will be holding Eleni. Motiva will have to text Falin's phone.
Somebody's gonna text Nefay, and Fullen is telling everybody that.
Yes, somebody will do it, but Will can't.
Okay. Dip.
Alright, you dip into the water. And you swim over to them. You come up to them and you see that they are sleeping as peacefully as they have been this whole time. It is a sight that is a little more comfortable to look at now that you have spent some time in their presence. But the differences are still very notable, and when you put your hands on them, they feel warm.
Mm-hmm. Flynn is going to touch her forehead to their forehead, and is going to kind of think in a mimicry of the spell that Motiva just did when they were communicating thoughts and feelings. We're going to save you. And she will start bringing them back up.
Okay. Motiva, what do you think you're doing to get ready for this? Are you just kind of like waiting for the jump? Do you think you have the scroll?
Yeah, I think Motiva has the scroll ready to go. I think she is thoroughly stretched out to be able to hoof it.
Exactly. Literally ready to hit the ground running, so to speak. All right. So you bring Eleni closer to the surface, and the closer you get to the surface, you almost get a better and better view of them. And something of note as you kind of look at them, as you get them sort of up to the surface, is you take in the sort of color of them, the water that makes them up, because it still had a very green tinge under the water, but as soon as you can kind of get away from that sort of like the filter, like the color filter that water has underneath, it is not quite nearly as dark as you remember seeing them all those weeks ago in the scry. I would compare it to almost a dappled pond or Bahama coast blue. Still markedly brighter than the color they used to be, as well as a lot more warm toned, as the green that still kind of suffuses it, gives them sort of an aqua coloration to them, especially to their limbs. And you can still see that sort of those rings of cosmium shards floating and circling each other in their chest. And Will is kind of kneeling down to reach down both arms to, like, bridal carry, pick up Eleni. And the sequence of events is rapid. But you all are ready. As you pull up Eleni to the surface, their skin touches air, and Will's strong arms go under yours to pick up Eleni, one under the back, one under the knees, and hoists them up so he can be standing. And Eleni is solidly in Will's hands, right? But as Will goes to stand, you hear the splatter of water hitting the stone, as, like, it is not a drip, but it is marked amounts of water are leaving their body the longer they are in air and not surrounded by water. The only thing I can compare it to, and this is kind of an unserious comparison, so I'm so sorry, but it's that very specific scene in the beginning of the live action Avatar movie where it's like a ball of water, but it is just like, it's hemorrhaging water. I keep using the word hemorrhaging, but it is like that. And within seconds, something that you have seen many times before, Falin, as Will starts to cast that sort of etheric manipulation that he uses on his leg to sort of have this frost spiderweb across Eleni's skin. And with the speed that you guys are now having to move, by the time you are doing this plane shift, there's no way you'll be able to fully freeze Eleni, but it is like damage control. It is trying to keep them as solid as possible while you guys are moving, you know? And it is alarming, but they are there, and Will has them, and it's time to go.
Yep.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you guys do or say before you plane shift away? This is truly your last second before we're going in rounds of initiative.
Yeah.
Motiva's going to look through the Tuvasa and say, I'll see you later.
You are saying that to an empty grotto, as all of the Tuvasa are currently underwater, but I feel like it's almost poignant that you're saying it to this place and these people in this plane because of how much you mean what you said earlier. Flynn?
I think Flynn doesn't really have anything to say. I feel like as soon as Will has them, and like especially after seeing the water dropping off, Flynn is getting straight into like, let's get the fucking scroll, let's go.
Yeah, we need to go. Okay. All right. We are going to stay here. I'm going to pause and move over the screens, and we are rolling initiative.
Hehe.
Okay, screens are moved over. I have rolled everybody's initiative, and I would like you guys to give me your initiative rolls. And then I will narrate what's happening.
Flynn is going to use her Chrono Skimmer dedication to stabilize her time stream.
Oh, okay.
So that means my initiative is 10 plus my perception.
Oh, so you get like assurance for it. That's slay.
Yes. So it'd be 23 total.
16.
Okay, Slay. 23, Flynn. You got 16, Motiva. Okay, awesome. Just for recording's sake, I'm going to pause again while I order these. Motiva, you go to read off the scroll. And with a multitasking that truly only a 24th century girl from Earth could do, you are also texting Flynn's phone. Making sure that Nefei and Onyx and your two lovers are ready for when you get there. And the hop is as unremarkable as ever, which is not really a comfort. Sometimes magic is not... It does not have feeling to it. It is simply a tool. And so you go like you always have, trying to keep hold of the hope that you all felt whenever you shared your feelings. And you hit the teleportation room in the biblioplex. And some things happen very quickly. Because you're in a small enclosed room. Onyx is in there, and so is Hoshmal, ready. And in the couple of breaths you have before it's go time, you see Hoshmal's face turn to you all. And instead of opening their mouth, eyes closed, to welcome you and ask if you need to be redirected in that sort of calm, reliable way that like your assistant on your phone would talk to you. You see them open their eyes. Something that you have never seen them do. And the entirety of their pupils is white, with an elaborate glyph engraved into the metal of it. And as they open their mouth to say something, Onyx's hand is placed almost gently over the entirety of Hoshmal's face, and they scream. As you see from Liliana's hands, these sort of black, static electric shocks travel between her arm and them. And then you feel pressure. Flynn, you come from a culture that studies dunamancy. It's time, but it is also gravity. As every second, it is harder to breathe, as you are pressed harder and harder against your shoulders down to try to get you onto the ground. Every turn, every person in this initiative will take damage.
Okay.
Because you are on a time limit.
Oh god!
Because Hoshmal's defense system has been triggered. And we are starting the initiative with neither of you. As Motiva, you hear a cry that sounds like a wounded animal, but it doesn't quite get like loud. It's not a scream. It's self-contained. It's almost like the sound of something in pain trying to self-soothe. Because you hear Nim's voice. As Nim's turn is first. And they take the damage, but you cannot see them because you are currently not in the Hall of Heroes that has the snarl. And next it's Onyx's turn as she grits her teeth and holds on to this for one more round. And then Ashan is looking at everything that is happening, makes eye contact with you, Motiva, and sprints out of the room. And Flynn, it's your turn, because you're the first person in this room besides Ashan that has the chance to do anything.
Oh Jesus. Let me double check something real quick.
Okay. Feel free to take your time.
I was thinking of trying to finagle a kinetic ram, but I don't think that would do anything for us here. I think Flynn's just gonna run out, but I think she's trying to keep an eye on Will and Eleni as she does so she's not gonna get. She's not gonna let them get out of her line of sight, essentially.
Yeah, 100%. I
She is
definitely see
schmoovin'.
that. Yeah, you're schmoovin'. Ashawn threw open the door to the room and has left it open, and I imagine you do as well. As you run through the doorway, in a straight line, but you don't really go far enough to where you can't see Will and Eleni, or the other two parts of your plan, Mativa and Rowan. Next, it's Will's turn. And Will, holding this delicately frozen and very precarious Eleni, is also going to move his entire speed to try to get closer to the snarl. Next is Nefe's turn, and all she really can do, where you can see her, Flynn, now that you're out of the room, and you can see that sort of bright light. Even that seems dimmed in this moment of this pressing feeling of Hashmal's power. But Nefe can just stand there. And then it's Motiva's turn. What would you like to do?
Run.
Okay, you're gonna run your full speed?
Yeah, she's going full speed because she needs to be ready for Rowan to set her up.
Exactly. It is kind of just getting over there and getting set up and doing it as quickly as possible, you know?
She also wants to make sure her lovers are okay.
Yeah, you run out and you get visual on your lovers. Kai is still standing in the midst of this, but you see that Nim is on their knees. And they don't look too damaged, for lack of a better way to word it, right? You don't look at them and think that they're not bleeding. They don't look obviously injured, but they look like they are struggling. And that's not surprising. For however much Nim can command the presence of a room, Nim is a slight person. And that's something that I think you maybe haven't taken into account until you actually see them in a moment where they are not strong enough to stand on their own. But Adon Kai is close near them in this moment. And last is poignantly Rowan, the person who has to kickstart this whole thing. And in her sort of gritting her teeth and pushing her through this, she actually can do something. As you see, one knee hits the ground, and you hear almost like a frustrated yell as she goes to kick off from the ground, but instead of a charge, you just see a shower of sparks as she actually teleports past you, Flynn. Not quite set up yet, but that's about as far as she can get, trying to get here as quick as possible. And a funny little thing about this Now that one round has gone, both of you take 5 damage, and you can assume that everyone in this room took 5 damage. That is 1 full round, aka 6 seconds. And we will start from the top of the round again. And this round goes a bit quicker as people are kind of just trying to support the people here and get into position. So, Falin, what are you doing with your turn?
Falin is probably gonna be casting Warp Step so that she can get right up to the snow and like get in position and like be ready to immediately start doing shit as soon as everyone is good and ready.
Okay. Motiva, what are you doing with your 6 seconds?
I am running up and I'm setting up.
Okay. You both, as well as Rowan, kind of get within, I'm gonna say, in the course of this sort of chaotic couple of seconds, you get within about 20 to 30 feet of the snarl before you kind of see the first hiccup. And it's unfortunately Will. Throughout this, Will is using a style of magic that is very familiar to him. It is one that he has to use almost like breathing to even move. The caveat of this is that Elaney is a lot bigger than his leg. And at the last second, as he's kind of powering through to run down these, the couple of steps to get to this dais that's in front of the snarl, you see his prosthetic leg falter as he falls to one knee. And he kind of makes a noise of pain, but holds him and Elaney up. Elaney's still kind of under this spider web of frost, this sort of coating of ice, as he says, this is as far as I can get. And Rowan, pulling up the rear, says, that's good enough. And Rowan is going to start. So I'm hoping that you guys are ready. You see, Rowan's magic is always volatile, it's bombastic, it is flashy. But she plants her feet and pushes back her shoulders, and she reaches out in a way that is confident, familiar, sure. Rowan is the person who can take decisive action and knows when to swing when the moment is right. And Rowan has done this before. There is technically nothing to grab. The magic suffuses this place, deep in the air you breathe. But she reaches out and you all can feel the tug as Rowan connects with this font of mana, this font of ether, one of the folded corners of this very plane itself. And there are these sort of offshoots of sparks as she is trying specifically to grab long enough to just fling in the direction of Motiva. All of the pieces of her clothing and her hair swirling like she is a storm. And the backdrop of this maneuver is the storm that she is creating to keep it off of you. Motiva.
Hi.
What are you feeling?
Sorry if this is a corny word. Ambition is the best word I have. She's ready.
She's ready, and she has high expectations of where she'll go with this. You grab hold of a storm. And there's this thing about hurricanes that they slow down the minute they hit land. And you have always been one with the land. And you represent the landfall that the storm that Rowan hands you, as your job is just to slow it down, to make it usable, as the thick cords and ropes of this mana, you are using your own body to spin it and tangle it and twist it. I would like you to roll me an occultism.
Yes. Should I use my big dice or should I use the Eldraine dice?
Follow your heart.
My heart says, Sarah, what should I roll?
Big dice for big roll.
Big dice for big roll. Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. With my bonus in occultism, that is 15 plus 15, so that is 30.
Ooh.
I am a very good occultist.
Yeah!
You grab hold, and you are not given the easiest start. Rowan is picking this up and immediately letting go as her way of circumventing grabbing the brunt of it, and you are left to pick up the pieces of it. But you are ready, and you're probably the most confident here about this. What are you trying to do? How are you crafting your part of the spell?
Motiva is weaving and straightening it out. She's making a spool and then braiding it into a thin, thin string of mana to pass off to Falin. And it is black mana.
Okay. You put this feeling into it. And it's no secret as it passes your mind again. You want Eleni to come out of this. But even more so, you desperately want Rowan and Falin to come out at the other end of this too. This is a dangerous gambit, and at the end of the day, what you want is the people you care about to come out the other side. If not better, then at the very least, without losing anything. And so you are the temper to this flame as you are quieting the storm. And it is going to Falin. This moment is so much, and it's heavy, and it hurts, and it's upsetting, and you knew Eleni was in a bad state. But I don't think that prepares you for seeing it. I don't think it prepares you for being in the thick of knowing that you are the end of the line. And it's that thought that brings you to the eye of the storm, because you need focus and you need quiet. How are you feeling?
Desperate. Specifically, it is desperation that is being funneled into that focus. I feel like it is not the biggest stretch to say she is much like an ER surgeon about to perform fucking emergency surgery.
Oh yeah. At the end of the day, what else are you doing besides stitching your lover back together? You are handed, metaphorically, a thread pure magic. I would like you to roll me whatever magic skill you feel most comfortable with. If you
Arcana, please.
Okay.
What
Your
were you
choice
gonna
does.
say?
I was gonna say your choice does affect things.
E.
Because religion and arcana will do different things. But if arcana is your better bonus, then you should rely on that.
Yep. Yep.
Give me a roll.
$20.
Okay.
I do have an ability that lets me reroll things if I fail them.
Okay.
Once, but still.
I am going to put something on the table for you then. You grab this thread and you are trying to almost assess how you can use it. And you are in this moment of needing to act and needing to make sure that this goes as well as it can. I technically can't tell you if this fails because you aren't the only one who would fail this. It's going to be an aggregate. I'm actually doing an average of all three of the rolls.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I will give you the option, if you think 20 isn't high enough, I will let you use that ability to try and reroll right now.
Oh God.
I know that that's
what if
like
I roll
such a
worse
deal.
In the future.
I know that's such a deal with the devil, but like that's as best as I can give you because I was gonna add up all three.
I'll leave it for now because Vativa rolled really fucking good.
Okay, Slay. I'll give you another option then that I think is something really fun. If you use it right now, because this roll is considered a 3-part roll, you don't know the number Rowan rolled. You can take a shot in the dark and make her re-roll to see if that gets you higher or lower. Or you can save it in case you have to make other checks later.
I'll save it for now.
Okay. Just wanted to put it out there. I'm being full transparent. We love to break things in this game. All right. So, Flynn, with a 20 Arcana, you have, for lack of a better way to say it, the tools in your hand. You are the arbiter of how this ends, and the conductor of Eleni's fate. What are you doing with it? What are you trying to do with this spell?
She is... Her main goal is to fix any damage that is there, and then to seal them, like encase them in the mana, and make it so that the mana has no choice but to go in instead of out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I feel like she starts out kind of taking the thread and weaving it through them, kind of following the icy lattice work.
Mm-hmm.
And once they are covered with that, Felin is going to start spinning them a cocoon.
Okay. Okay. You do this. And it's a strange feeling doing this. Because we are operating on probably 3 levels of allegory and explanation for what is happening. Because there is a physical component to it, but then most of it isn't visual. It's you are pulling at pieces and weaving it and spinning it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, physically you are seeing them be wrapped in this magic. But this is what you are doing. It's the same equivalent as what you do when you heal, right? When you knit together a wound with magic. You're doing the same thing. You're trying to bolster and strengthen their whole being. The way that this spell has been wrought and cast utilizes 3 different types of mana. It is black, white, and red. It is power. It is feeling. It is selfish desire. And it is stasis. And that is what you all are putting into this spell. As every second you are continuing to have to cast this spell. Both of you take an extra 5 damage, and we will have to do another round of rolls until we meet the threshold. Or until you run out of time.
No. Indomitable human spirit, help me. Indomitable human spirit, help me.
Indomitable.
Okay. Motiva, give me your occultism roll again.
It's okay. I'm doing my damage first because you're beating me to death.
I am beating you to death.
Hello. I also had a question. Do we have hero points?
You do.
Okay, cool.
I will say, because of the indomitable human spirit, you'll have 3.
That's so sexy of you. That is so cool and so useful because I just rolled a 3, but no, I didn't. Not anymore. Haha. Not anymore, babe.
You should re-roll it, and you should narrate what you think using that hero point did for you.
Thank you. I will. Okay. I think Motiva is going. I think whenever that second shock of pain hits Motiva, she stutters, taking one of the storms from Rowan and shocks herself.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to make that a literal damage, you can.
I think that's really good. So I'll
but-
maybe say take 2 damage, but not very much. I just think it's good.
Thank you. But I like to believe that she recovers well, because that is a 13 plus 15, so that's 28.
Okay.
They're 20,
Awesome.
yes, 28.
Hell yeah. Okay. You do that. And Falin, give me another Arcana roll. Unless you are changing it. At any point, you guys can change the plan.
No, I'm sticking with Arcana.
Okay.
25.
Okay. Alright, 1 second. I'm adding all of those up.
I'm sorry, lady. If I could add my nature, I would.
Is your nature good?
No. Less than good.
Oh no.
All right. You see some interesting things happen as pressure weighs even harder on you. This is now the 4th round. So this round, you take 10 damage.
Jesus Christ.
Zowie.
Yeah. and you actually see, specifically you, Motiva, you see something really interesting happen because you got hurt. You got shocked. You see out of the corner of your eye Nim, who has been sort of watching with these huge eyes, taking in a situation that does feel, for lack of a better word, heavy. This is not. I can't just say this is not normal, but this is not something that Nim has ever had to experience. Hashmal's defense system is extremely new, and honestly not tested very extensively. And when I say tested, I mean like things don't try to sneak on when they're not supposed to, right? It has never been triggered like this. You see, with their turn, despite them giving you a wide berth, they move almost their full movement towards you until they're about 20 feet away from you. But communication is kind of difficult, even with people like Nefay or Rowan or even Will. It takes yelling to be heard kind of over the dampening effect that is happening. And we are going to do one more round. So I'm going to roll for Rowan. Motiva, what would you like to do?
I would like to do two things. Motiva's going to probably see. Motiva saw Nim come close.
Yes.
Motiva is worried because Nim is a worrisome person.
Mm-hmm.
So she is going to try and do something as a act of I'm fine. And I would like to roll performance as Motiva is going to essentially like lasso the mana and make, I don't want to say a joke, but she is making a show of I'm fine. This isn't hard.
I do really like that. To make it a roll, you would have to stop focusing on the spell, which is the bitch of this situation. Any change
Says
to
a
what's
bitch.
happening, like, affects the flow of things.
Occultism is affected by bardic stuff, so could I say it is a part of my occultism spell? My occultism roll.
I will definitely say that. I will say it affects the DC.
Ooh.
This is not me saying I don't want you to do it. I want you to do it. I'm just trying to be realistic about it.
Indomitable human spirit, babes.
Yeah, if you think Motiva would do it, you should try. You have hero points.
Yep. And I have a thing to make you redo it.
It's true, because as long as you're a part of this one spell, you can use that thing.
Okay. I will do it. I shall do this. With a different roll. Hero point it is.
Okay.
Okay, hey. But what if I was a nat 20 and I wanted to fucking kill you? The indomitable human spirit is ever fucking present and burning.
Spirit.
It is ever present and ever burning.
Awesome. You do that, and you kind of like make eye contact with Nim. And that's the thing, is that Nim is a worrisome person. This is, again, huge. There is a moment where, and it's something that has come up in conversations with Nim before, you don't know when, despite age and experience and the fact that you have different lives, you are going to outclass them sooner rather than later because of the weight of the things you wrought. But you have a little fun with it. You're confident, and you're here with the people that you love and your friends. And there's no way you could fail. And it doesn't wipe the look off of Nim's face. But you do it. And you hope that it can mean something when this is over. Flynn, you have something interesting happen on your turn. And it's not affected by Motiva's. You don't even notice the antics Motiva's getting up to right now, because all you care about is pulling the next thread, pulling more, and slowly working this together. And the only thing that messes with that rhythm is you feel a yank. You feel as you go to kind of like work this and tangle it between your fingers to weave it in and push it in towards Eleni, it is being yanked out of your hands. And it is making your work less consistent. And that is dangerous when you are trying to patch up holes, when you are trying to knit something uniform. Your DC is also higher. But this is the last roll that you get.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna use the shell dice.
Okay.
Shell. Please.
No, I'm not gonna use that.
Okay. Do a reroll and tell me what you think it looks like.
No, that was also bad. Can I use my time thing?
You can use your failure thing if you'd like, yes.
Nice. Okay.
You now make the description even longer because you're fucking up.
Yep. I was like, fucking god. Okay. 31.
Okay.
Whoa.
The first rolls were a 4 and a 5.
Yikes.
There is no number between 1 and 20.
So I feel like, because you described it as feeling like the string was being yanked away from me.
Yes, like out of your grip.
Yeah.
Like you were losing grip on it.
I feel like at first Flynn's response to that is to try and just like yank it back towards her.
Okay.
And that, but it's not enough to set things to rights. And I feel like at first she tries to just power through it and is like frustrated with it, but that just ruins her handiwork. And I feel like there's a moment where she realizes how wrong it is. And she can't fucking have that. And so she calls on her little Dunamancy, kind of weaving it alongside this mana. And I feel like what it looks like from the outside is the first 2 attempts that she made to try and go against that tugging don't happen, but they happen in like an echo. Like there's 2 little faint echoes of Flynn that are still going through that failure. But Flynn herself is not experiencing that anymore.
Yeah, because she...
Until it meets back up to the same point in time.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. It's like the magical equivalent of like taking a seam ripper to a bad stitch, you know? It's very sometimes you
Yeah.
just have to start it over, and you come from a culture where that's normal. You know what I mean? No, that's sick. That's so sick. Okay, Slay. Okay, awesome. Okay. This is now round 5. You both take 10 more damage, and then something happens.
No!
This whole time, there has been this laser focus on what you are doing. You 3 are spinning the spell that will save Eleni's life. Maybe even save Eleni as you know them. You are sharing this thread like the Fates, like spellcasters, like witches in a story. And you are helping to try and recreate the pieces of Eleni that are being unmade. But most of the other people in this room aren't doing that. And what it ends up being is a lot of people just having to sit and watch. Motiva, you end up in some way comforting Nim. So Nim stops in their motion as they were going to grab you. To do what? You're not sure. But despite this bit being the most successful you have done, Valen, you feel another variable that you can't control pop up. Because in your laser focus of literally weaving back, turning back time to retry again and again and again and again, Nefei is next to you. And you see Nefei do something you have never seen her do before, as she takes a dagger that is always worn at her hip, that is tied closed. You see she slips it from its sheath as it glows like hot iron. As she grabs the thread and cuts it. As she yells for Onyx to stop. And this is a moment when you come to and you see people like Nefei and people like Nim and even your own self. You are damaged. And within a couple seconds, you feel that heaviness disappear. And then there is still and quiet, and in that quiet, Fulin, you are standing next to Will, who is kneeling in front of you, holding Eleni. And you see their eyes fly open in an expression that looks like the fear when waking up from a nightmare. And you can hear the gasp of breath. Bullet time will continue for a little bit longer, so I'm going to connect with Felin and Motiva and what you are doing as these things happen. Because a lot of stuff just happened.
Yeah.
Man.
And there's also new music.
Man.
I feel like Phelan just went through like a million emotions at once.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Like seeing Nefei come up like, oh my friend, what is my friend doing here? She's not supposed to be here. Why does she have a knife? What is she doing with the knife? Oh god, the mana!
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, does this mean a lady's gonna fucking die? Wait, no, they're waking up. Oh god, everybody's hurt, but wait, a lady's up.
But wait, Delaney's up. And oh my god, the Hotchmal thing is ending.
Yeah. I feel like currently, I think she's just overjoyed to see Eleni with their eyes up. I think she's not stopping to really think about and process everything else that is happening around her. I think the remnants of the hyper focus on Eleni is still here.
Okay, slay. Do you think you do anything to Eleni? Or say anything?
I think she's gonna immediately try and hug them.
Okay. Motiva, what do you think you're doing in this moment?
She's going to use Moth's Supper.
Okay. There's a lot of mana here to eat.
There is a lot of mana here to eat. And she's going to go to Nim and she's going to pull out her potion of healing and pass it to them. And she's going to say, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna do this Nim thing first. Then I'm gonna do the Eleni thing, and then I'm gonna talk about what everybody else is doing. Motiva, you immediately send out your moths, and they flitter over almost immediately to the snarl and the pool that's at the bottom of it. But even just floating through the air, you can feel that they are gathering ambient mana from the intense spell work that you just did. And even some of them float closer to Eleni, who is shining like a beacon still. But when you get up to Nim, you take out that potion and you go to give it to them and you apologize, and they don't even take it because they grab your face and they kiss you. As faculties and rationalities and thinking, they're always thinking and they always know what to do. You have never seen Nim scared, but it is this moment where they are able to communicate to you, I was scared, and I'm so glad you're okay. Alternatively, we go over to Flynn, and you see that Eleni gasps, eyes open, still not quite right. As you see, one eye is familiar, deep, dark, black like the bottom of the ocean, and then the one still that shimmering opal. You see that the coloration of them is no longer warm, as it's almost like this supercharged blue, this bright blue of shallow water. And the glow from them, that was that sort of yellow glow, similar to the sun on Ixalan, is now replaced with this bright blue that looks like the snarl, this like cold, clear sort of blue light. And you go to hug them, and they don't immediately put their arms around you, as it's again like they're coming up from the throes of a nightmare, like a sudden wake up. But you feel palms press against your shoulder blades. Wet, solid, warm. Not as cold as you would expect, but it's still them, at the very least. And you don't hear them say anything, but every once in a while you kind of feel them twitch in your hold. And as far as for what other people are doing, in this sort of quiet that happened after this ended, Onyx comes back into the room kind of hurriedly to take in the scene, sort of like sharp and frantic gaze combing the room. Rowan, just as surprised as everyone else, almost like yells at the sudden change in air pressure and has to like fling the last bit of mana that they were holding in a different direction. It hits a stack of books so that it doesn't hit any of you, as you can smell the charred wood of it. Nothing alights though. Will doesn't let go of Eleni, since you guys are all three kind of like kneeling on the ground. And Kai kind of just like pulls Kai and Ashan, I actually think. I think Crow's Feet almost ends up in a group hug situation, and not on purpose, I don't think. I just think everybody is trying to grab you. You know what I mean? And Nefei is kind of the only one left who's not actively doing something, even though she's kind of watching over the grouping of like Falin, Eleni, and Will. As Onyx comes up and demands like to know what happened, how it went, and Nefei goes to speak. And that's actually when you hear the door of the biblioplex slam open. And you hear the sound of grieved, stomping footprints run into it. As you see a person that looks familiar. You maybe can't quite place it because it's someone with this sort of dark skin, short pink hair. But what stands out the most to you is their gleaming golden armor. As you see Janaya the Dragon's Guard, sword drawn, eyes a laser focus on what has happened, as right behind her, Taiva falls inward and goes to scream, "What has happened here?" Once again, what are you guys doing?
Motiva's immediately going to shoot up, and she's going to look a bit too delighted as she says, "We fixed it, and it's done."
Every time you have your hands in something, and you see that Taiva has to stop himself. You have never seen this man. You've only seen this man one time, but you've never seen him this worked up. He is normally a very quiet, a very slow, a very stoic person. And he looks frantic. He looks angry. As he stomps up to Onyx after taking a wide scan of the room. Over you, Motiva, Falin, the Kenrith twins, Eleni, Nefei, Ashan, and also Adon Kai and Nim. And he looks over to Onyx and he says, "I trust you to have the best interests of the students at heart." And you see Onyx. Motiva, you pick up on this. Onyx glances over towards you, looks at Taiva, and says, "I was confident that my handling of the situation would be quick and effortless. There should be no lasting damage left on Hashmal. Motiva, I want you to roll me. No, I do secret rolls. I do those. Motiva, something very interesting is happening right now, and I don't know if you know how you feel about it. This was your idea. Every part of it and every person's role ended up coming down to your idea of it. It wasn't even Onyx's idea to handle Hashmal's system in case they tried to get Eleni. And as Taiva looks at Onyx like scum of the earth, she doesn't say that. There is space where she could and she doesn't. And you are picking up on that she is choosing not to say that.
Where's the one picture of the monkey in the car?
The one
Like
that's
looking
side-eyeing?
away. Really? Yeah, the one that's side-eyeing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know that's like the most unserious comparison, but she's like looking between them and she's just like, oh no, two very powerful people, one powerful on this plane and one that's essentially my boss, are ready to duke it out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Motiva comes forward and she says, whenever we recovered Eleni, their soul was undone, so Hashmal would have simply disintegrated them upon coming back to Arcavios.
And what made you think the proper channels couldn't be taken? I say this honestly and bluntly to you, Motiva. You could have risked everything for this. Hashmal's defense system is the only thing that keeps us safe right now. The only thing that keeps attacks, like the ones that happen to you and your friends, from getting to you. There is no telling what lasting effects this could have on Hashmal and their ability to defend us, but even so, we have had raids on the Snarl before. Anything could have happened. And everyone on this campus felt what happened. We have the resources to handle hurt students. But you don't know what could have happened. If even one thing had stepped out of line or gone on a single second, the entire school would have been killed. That's the level of defense we use with Hashmal. Because we have to keep anything from coming in here.
Motiva's the pinnacle of self-control, I will have you know right now.
Mm-hmm.
She could say many a thing, and she doesn't. And she nods and she says it was a moment of panic.
A moment of panic that had a plan. That had steps to it. With multiple people accomplice. I understand. And the founders will too.
Oop. I'm responsible for this. I'm the one that coordinated this, and I'm the one that dragged everybody in. I'm the only one that needs to be held for it.
Roll diplomacy.
Oh my
Okay.
god!
Hey, Sarah, what's Flynn doing?
I feel like at first she straight up just was not paying attention to fucking Taiba. She was like, she was aware of him, but she was like, deal with that later. That's not important. And then it got into yelling and bringing the founders into it, and Motiva being like, no, I'm the one to blame for this, held me responsible,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes her whip her fucking head up.
Not the best, not the worst. Okay. Diplomacy?
Yeah.
12 plus 13.
12 plus 13. Okay, so that's 25.
12 plus 13. Yes. You were so good at math.
You see that he goes to look at you, and you see that he has to fight to speak cordially to you right now. And he says, thank you for your confession. it will be taken into consideration. Oh, how would he say that?
I have something to add to this.
Okay, I'm gonna say one last thing and then you can say it. Just because you said the first word doesn't mean everyone here didn't stand by and let it happen. You may be affected more heavily than the rest of them, but I and the Dragon's Guard are able to have our own investigation, and people will be punished as such.
Motiva is going to speak, and she is going to say, would you punish people for following others simply when they believed that the person was giving no other option? It was my fault that this happened. There were other things that we could do, but I was not satisfied with them. Do not punish people for my trickery.
The people who stand by and do not stop a crime from happening are just as culpable as the person who held the knife. I don't care.
Fighting the urge to stab Taiva.
You can willingly go back to your dorm rooms, or I will send you there myself.
Real quick, looking at a lady, how are they?
Yeah, so okay. I do have more stuff. Sorry, I got lost in the sauce. Ty was very mad. So you pull back to look at Eleni, and you see. Oh, how do I describe their expression? It's like they're looking around at stuff and trying to process the information, I think. What exactly they're processing is kind of lost to you, such as the way of thoughts, right? But they're kind of they look a lot at you, and they stare a lot at you, but they also like look around at what is happening. They look they obviously, according to stimuli, look towards the yelling. They look towards Nefei, who's nearby. They look to Will, who's still holding them. And you kind of see, as you pull back to look at them, they are able to look at you more clearly, and their lips are kind of parted. And you see their mouth open, and you have very good perception. You can see their mouth moving, and you can hear the breath leave their mouth. There is no friction from their vocal cords. There's nothing even similar to a mutter or a mumble or a groan coming from them. And that's what you notice the most distinctly. Sorry, go ahead.
Can Flynn cast message on them real quick?
You can.
How are you feeling? Because message lets them reply with a message.
It's true. It's true. Ooh, okay. Ooh, that's a fun. Oh, I love. Oh, how would I word this? they respond, and I know that's probably just words, but when I think of telepathy or even limited telepathy, I always imagine the tone still carrying over, right? Um, and there's this kind of like air of like confusion as they don't answer your question directly, because the first thing that they say to you as a response to this is, why does everything feel so big? It's like a question, and it has that kind of like disorientedness to it, right? And something of note as well is that this entire time since you have found Elaney, the ambient light from them has not diminished, right? So they still have this sort of like this beacon of light now in their chest that is very similar to the same light that's given off by the snarl. That has not gone away, right? And sort of where it's housed is in the same vicinity that those sort of like shards are moving in their chest. Though now when you see them, that sort of like pinkish purple color is like dulled. And you see them kind of like flinch forward and put a hand to their collarbone. And then, despite already having given the response to your message, you hear a voice in your mind that says, "My chest hurts."
Fulham is going to look back to Tyva, who just told everyone to go to their dorms, and is going to say, Eleni needs medical attention.
Well, it's a good thing a medical professional is here. Go to the same dorm room, for all I care. Everyone will leave Biblioplex grounds. And with a grace that perhaps the situation doesn't call for, Nim doesn't argue, and instead will kind of just like slowly walk over to where you are with Elaney and kind of place their hand to Elaney's temple, almost in like a soothing touch. And they look to you and say, "I'll look at them. We can." My cabin has enough room, and it's off on its own. It'll be easily monitored, so that should be good enough. And you see that they say that kind of loud enough so Tyva can hear it.
I think
Cow, angry moo.
angry moo. I think in the meantime, Phelan is going to put a hand over top of where Elaney had put theirs when they said that their chest hurts, and she's just, for the sake of it, gonna put a heal spell into them.
That's really sweet. Tell me the number.
I shall. Let's see. Number 3. Okay. 38. 38. Yep. 20 points of HPs.
You go to press your hand over theirs, and you feel that they are here, and they're warm, and they're solid. And you feel as your mana kind of ripples and skitters over their skin. How do I word this? I am about to sound so insane when I describe this to you, but it's the only way I can think about it. So, you are an arcane student, right? You have interacted with magic a lot over multiple lifetimes. And you have been in academic situations where you have, done a lot of shit with magic. You know what I mean? Like, there's a large breadth of experience there, I think. When you heal them, it did not feel the same way it does generally when you heal a person. And I would compare it more to the feeling of when you charge an item. You can physically feel your magic go into Eleni and not necessarily affecting them. That sounds so insane, but I'm sorry. That's as best as I can give you.
I'm fascinated by this.
The fuck does that mean?
Am I charging the fucking rocks?
Who knows?
Charging my lithium Elaney.
Charging my lithium partner battery.
Battery.
Okay. Motiva, what are you doing and how are you feeling? I think
The cow is angry.
the cow is very angry, probably. Ashan is. It's so funny because I'll go to say something Kai does, and then I'll realize Ashan would do it, and I'll go say something Ashan would do, and then Kai would also do it. So I have to mentally pick who's doing what thing because they can't just be mirrors of each other, but they're so similar. I think Ashan is like holding your wrist, but like squeezing it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he also looks angry.
Motiva's going to breathe, and I imagine the flame on her turn had been flicking pretty wildly for a second,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just slows, and then she says, "Okay, we'll go. It'll be easy to watch us, and we won't resist if you have any questions."
You see Taiva kind of doesn't say anything as he instead kind of goes to kind of examine the area. Only lightly damaged from what happened, to be honest. A lot of it was just, a lot of the things that were damaging or chaotic were just like the way that mana interacts with living beings, right? So there's not like a lot of structural damage. But it feels like it's like you can tell that he's trying to get a read on what happened for himself, right? He's investigating himself instead of asking you exactly what happened. Janaya is the one watching you all as she doesn't sheath her sword and kind of in a way that is disconcerting. Janaya is a little disconcerting as a Dragon's Guard because she's very obviously armed and armored and very intense in the eyes. But you read this almost like lackadaisical way of moving and acting that you feel like does trick people into relaxing around her as she kind of just casually walks behind you as you as a group walk to the teleportation room. Naked Steel still out, and just watch as you go. And of note in this room, the teleportation room, is you get to see Hashmal. And Hashmal has always been so static, right? Hashmal is technically a construct, right? A created being to perform a function that has slowly added to time, right? And you see normally where they have their sort of long white gown, their immaculate feathered wings, their closed eyes, their long brown hair, their delicate smile. You see actually that their eyes are half lidded, and they are kind of lips pursed and audibly breathing, like even they are catching their breath after what happened. But by the time you walk up to Hashmal, they pull their shoulders up, and you are able to use the teleportation circle as normal. The Hashmal in Witherbloom is fine, though.
No more.
Because if anybody's forgot, because we don't talk about Hashmal that much, there's 7 of them, they're just all a hive mind. This is for the recording in case I have to re-listen to this part again. And you tried. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, the deadpan silent rage on Motiva's face is an aura.
Mm-hmm. How's her hair doing?
I imagine she is forcefully keeping it short so that it does not whip wildly around at her friends. It is uncharacteristically short, but it is fluffed like a Howl's Moving Castle, like Ghibli style, like bird fluff.
Yeah, your hackle's raised.
As it like keeps going up and down as she's thinking, and she's going to look to Falin, and she's going to smile, and she's going to say, "How do you feel?"
Tired. Relieved.
I'm glad.
We can handle whatever it is Tyva does.
She can't. She does not say this. I was really tempted to make Motiva say, "I can handle anything anyone tries." But she didn't say that. She didn't say that. She just nods and she says, "We'll handle everything. All that matters now is that Eleni is better."
I feel like as they're walking, Falin is kind of leaning on Motiva a bit.
Nice.
It does not contain the rage, but it does spark joy.
It does spark joy. You have to have joy in times of rage. Yeah, you guys walk, and it's a little bit quiet, but mostly people kind of like individually checking in on each other. Rowan, in particular, doesn't look plussed about it. Nim kind of has like a focused look on their face, you imagine, because they're mostly worried about the injured person in their party, right? Of the group, Kai would be the one trying to get people to talk, and you wonder if getting reassurance that people are okay is how Kai handles stress. And that puts a lot of perspective into how Kai handles Nim when Nim's upset, right? Ashan kind of sticks close to you, Motiva, but doesn't say much of anything. As well as Nefei, who also has like a kind of like focused sort of like look and like crossed arms. And Will is still carrying Eleni, so that Falin doesn't have to do it. I keep imagining that like Eleni is technically kind of like wrapped in a sheet, just for ease of carrying.
Blanket.
Security blanket, like a shock blanket, you know.
Yeah.
But even so, you can hear the faint like jingling of the jade pieces on the outfit that the Tufasa made for them. You see as you all walk that they look around at the scenery on the Witherbloom campus, and their hair, I had mentioned, looked longer, and it is. Now that they are not fully submerged in water, it looks, if it didn't move the way that it did, it could be as low as lower back.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
And you guys all go to Nim's cabin, which is now very cramped, as it is house arrest for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people?
God.
Basically 10 people in here. Which
Score.
I do have the layout of that dorm.
Squashed.
Small.
Squashed. Hey, how about that cabin, huh?
Yeah.
The cabin spell. Cabin and cabin.
Yeah, multiple cabin if needed. As it's on its own little island in the middle of Sedgemoor, and I think this is where I'm gonna cut it for now.
Fuck yeah, boy.
I have to write more because a lot of what you did during that plan has actively affected Eleni. How's it going, gamers? Sorry I had to give you the horrors.
No, it's okay.
As always, I do be loving the horrors.
I need to be right back.
Okay, I'll stop recording.